Here are today's top stories. After being vindicated by the United Nations on its stand against illegal drugs, Malacanang hails the 3-year term granted to the Philippines in the United Nations Human Rights Council. As the Philippines explores more ways to become disaster resilient, Albay Representative Joey Salceda believes that the creation of a Department of Disaster Resilience, or DDR, is key to addressing the resource gap in communities. After weeks of increases, oil companies announced a rollback of pump prices on Monday. And the island of Boracay begins its dry run in preparation for its reopening on October 26. Good day, I'm William Theo.
And I'm Pia Roses Morato. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom.
After being vindicated by the United Nations on its stand against illegal drugs, the Philippines has been granted a 3-year term in the United Nations Human Rights Council.
Malacanang hailed the move as a recognition of the country's efforts in the protection of human rights. Benj Bondoc has a story.
Malacanang welcomed the report that the Philippines was granted another 3-year term in the United Nations Human Rights Council. The Department of Foreign Affairs said the Philippines won a seat after 165 out of 192 member states voted in favor of the country's inclusion. Presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo said in a press statement that getting a seat in the UNHRC refuted critics and detractors of the drug war, which is meant to rid the streets of the drug menace and make Filipinos feel safer. Panelo said the Philippines' inclusion also showed that the community of nations has viewed the drug menace as a global problem which nations have to deal with together. Outgoing Foreign Affairs Secretary Alan Peter Cayetano also lauded this development, despite local and international human rights groups asking the UN to reject the country's bid for re-election. The Philippine National Police, meanwhile, vowed to strengthen its campaign against drug syndicates as it welcomed the statement of the United Nations recognizing illegal drugs as a global concern. PNP Chief Oscar Albayalde said the campaign is part of President Duterte's goal of a drug-free and crime-free Philippines. He said with other countries coming together and working collectively in facing this problem, the PNP believes it will win the war against illegal drugs and the crime rate will continuously be reduced. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Benj Bondoc.
As the Philippines explores more ways to become disaster resilient, Albay Representative Joey Salceda believes that the creation of a Department of Disaster Resilience, or DDR, is key to addressing the resource gap in communities. Salceda, who appeared in the PNA-produced talk show Pros and Cons, said that the DDR could help address the resource gap among local communities in the face of the ever-increasing complexity and intensity of disaster. Citing the tragedy of Typhoon Yolanda, Salceda underscored that the country must be prepared even before a disaster strikes, emphasizing the need for continuous capacity building in everyone. Salceda recalled that during the onslaught of Typhoon Yolanda or Haiyan, the surge capacity of hospitals was severely limited because even those who were supposed to provide health care became disaster victims. On October, the House of Representatives approved on final reading House Bill 8165, otherwise known as the Department of Disaster Resilience Act, which is a legislative priority of the Duterte administration. Under the bill, the DDR will be the national government agency primarily responsible for disaster preparedness, prevention, mitigation, response, recovery, and rehabilitation.
In an effort to secure the availability and stability of rice prices, President Rodrigo Duterte has certified the rice tariffication bill as urgent. Special Assistant to the President Bongo said Senate Bill number 1998 is consistent with President Duterte's pronouncement to curb corruption and institute good governance in the rice market. Go said the measure will help achieve stability of rice supply, bring down prices, prevent artificial shortages, and curtail corruption and cartel domination in the rice industry. He added that tariffication of rice creates competitive market, which means more rice availability and reduced prices, which in the end benefits the general public. Senate Bill number 1998 seeks to replace a quantitative restriction on rice and replace it with a tariff.
After weeks of nearly unabated increases, Filipino motorists got a respite as local oil companies rolled back pump prices on Monday. Oil firms announced downward price adjustments amounting to 85 centavos per liter of unleaded gasoline, 65 centavos for diesel, and 20 centavos for kerosene. Spokespersons for the local petroleum industry said the decrease in prices simply reflects current movements in the world crude market, which has taken a turn favorable to the consumers for now. They explained, however, that this is not an assurance that international price pressures on oil have relaxed for any extended period.
Iloilo City has been conferred for the second time the Galing Pook Award, which recognizes best local government practices in the country. Its entry, the Iloilo-Batiana River Development Project, joined 9 other awardees in a ceremony coinciding with the 25th year of the Galing Pook Awards. Iloilo City Mayor Jose Espinosa described the project as a joint collaboration to address siltation, water pollution, encroachment, illegal cutting of mangroves, and informal settlements along the Iloilo River. The project benefited more than 50,000 residents from 35 barangays living along the Iloilo River. Engineer Noel Hachenova, head of the City Environment and Natural Resources Office, meanwhile said that more has yet to be done for the river, including addressing water pollution and make the river as an ecotourism destination. In 2012, Iloilo City got its first Galing Pook Award through its Zinagyang Festival.
As the election fever heats up, high-profile candidates flock to the Commission on Elections to file their certificates of candidacy. It's a huge day for Special Assistant to the President, Bongo, who officially filed his COC today, accompanied by no less than President Duterte. Other known personalities who filed their respective COCs include re-election Senators J.V. Ejercito, Cynthia Villar, and Grace Poe. Former actor and Senator Lito Lapid also seeks a comeback at the upper house, while Magdalene Representative Gary Alejano officially joins the senatorial race. Meanwhile, President Duterte's former spokesman, Harry Roque, drops his Senate ambition, announcing his attempt for a big comeback at Congress, this time as a representative under an environmental party list, Luntiang Pilipinas.
Still to come, the search for the country's third major telco player is expected to run smoothly again as the Manila Regional Trial Court junks Now Telecom's TRO petition. These and more when the PNA Newsroom continues.
Ito ang Duterte on Duty. Ulat sa ginagawa ng Presidente. October 4, Huwebes, Malacanang. Nakipagpulong si Pangulong Rodrigo Roa Duterte kay dating Pangulong Fidel Ramos. Nakipag-usap din siya sa ilang miyembro ng gabinete at dumalo sa Joint Command Conference ng Armed Forces of the Philippines at Philippine National Police. Kinagabihan ay sinaluhan niya sa hapunan ng mga miyembro ng Philippine Military Academy Alumni Association.
I'm trying to explain to everybody, and you would notice it, that every time there is an increase in oil, everything increases. That's what inflation is all about. Wala man akong masabi, but I assume full responsibility for the rising prices.
October 9, Martes, Malacanang. Iprinisinta ni Pangulong Duterte ang 3 batas na makatutulong sa sektor ng edukasyon, labor at property security.
These 3 legislative measures do not only represent the vibrant and constructive relationship between the executive and legislative branches of government, but also signify our common desire to set aside partisan and political interests. So may we work together in securing the well-being of our people.
Pinanumpa ng Pangulo ang mga newly elected officers ng Malacanang Press Corps. October 10, Miyerkules, Maguindanao. Nakiramay ang Pangulo sa naulilang pamilya ng 5 Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency personnel na inambush habang papunta sa Marawi. Ako po si Secretary Martin Andanar. At ito ang Duterte on Duty. Abangan sa susunod na linggo ang mga gagawin ng Pangulo.
Boracay started on Monday its dry run in preparation for the island's grand reopening on October 26. The island is open only to residents of Aklan and other parts of Western Visayas. Tourism Secretary Berna Romulo Puyat said the test run is important to ensure everything is in place for the island's reopening. As of last Friday, 68 establishments were given the go signal to operate after completing the requirements of the Interagency Task Force. The dry run will last for 10 days until October 26. The island reopens after a 6-month rehabilitation, which came about when President Rodrigo Duterte called Boracay a cesspool and ordered its closure on April 26.
The search for the country's third major telco player is expected to run smoothly again as the Manila Regional Trial Court junks Now Telecom's petition against the proceedings. More on this from Miguel Hill.
A Manila Regional Trial Court has junked the petition for a temporary restraining order filed by Now Telecom against the terms of reference set by the Department of Information and Communications Technology. Manila RTC Branch 42 denied the petition 4 days after Now Telecom questioned certain provisions that were supposedly not tackled during public consultations. These include the payment of securities and an appeal which Now Telecom referred to as money-making schemes by the DICT. In its order, the Manila RTC said a hearing on Now Telecom's petition for preliminary injunction will be held on October 23 to 24. DICT Acting Secretary Eliseo Rio Jr. said the bidding will push through as scheduled. To date, China Telecom, PT&T Corporation, LCS Group of Companies with Tier 1 Communications, Udena Corporation, Telenor Group, and an undisclosed company are among those participating in the selection process. The DICT aims to name the new major telco player by December. The chosen player shall be determined through its highest committed level of service based on corresponding points on national population coverage, capital and operational expenditures, and minimum average broadband speed. For the PNA Newsroom, I am Miguel Hill.
China is inviting Filipino businessmen to open shops at the modern version of the Silk Road. Tang West Market in Xi'an, China is being revived as the original site of the starting point of China's ancient network of trade routes. Hu Ji, consultant of Tang West Market Cultural Industry Investment Group Company Limited, said the firm is promoting the Tang West Market as a destination for foreign entrepreneurs. The group invites Filipino restaurant owners to introduce authentic Filipino cuisine. The Philippines can also bring its best products and put up shops. Foreign entrepreneurs are assured of 100% ownership of their business in Tang West Market. Who said the Tang West Group hopes to revive trade activities in the West Market while promoting Chinese culture, as well as contribute in strengthening ties with countries involved in the Silk Road network.
The municipal government of Itogon, Benguet has received a total of 14 million pesos in cash assistance from the National Housing Authority and the cities of Valenzuela and San Juan. NHA General Manager Marcelino Escalada Jr. turned over a check worth 10 million pesos to buy a lot for the resettlement site of families displaced by Typhoon Ompong. Senator Joseph Victor J.V. Ejercito turned over 1 million pesos worth of financial assistance. Senator Sherwin Gatchalian also turned over a 500,000 peso check for Itogon and another 2.5 million for the relatives of those who died and those who are still missing. Escalada, who handed the check to Mayor Victorio Palagdan, relayed President Duterte's instruction to help the victims. He said the local government can find a safer area outside Itogon where residents may rebuild their homes. 7 out of the 9 barangays were declared as geohazard areas. The NHA earlier released 10 million pesos to Itogon for construction materials to repair damaged houses.
Some 36 Pangasinense World War II veterans will be receiving the U.S. Congressional Gold Medal, the highest civilian award from the United States Congress. Pangasinan Congressman Leopoldo Batuil made the announcement along with the unveiling of a memorial marker in honor of his uncle and namesake, Lieutenant Leopoldo G. Batuil. Batuil's uncle died during the World War II in Bataan, but his body was never recovered. Dignitaries from the U.S. and Philippine governments and the Philippine Veterans Veterans Affairs Office will be present at the unveiling of November 15 during the Veterans 101st anniversary celebration. Meanwhile, Batao said members of Congress finally approved the bill increasing the old age monthly pension of veterans from 5,000 to 20,000 pesos. He said the additional pension will be of great help to the remaining 7,000 veterans. Up next, the Davao City Anti-Smoking Task Force in Davao City is set to implement nicotine replacement therapy in 2019 as a means to help people quit smoking. The PNA Newsroom returns after these reminders.
Trade Secretary Ramon Lopez said executives at Wood Group are scheduling visits to the country to look into possible partnerships and potential areas of investment which may include renewable energy projects such as solar farms and can feed produced energy to airports. Finance Secretary Carlos Dominguez III and Japan International Cooperation Agency Chief Representative Yoshio Wada signed the supplemental loan agreement and formally exchanged documents for the Phase 2 of the new Bohol Airport construction and sustainable environmental protection project in Panglao Island. Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas Governor Nestor Espinilla Jr. received a B+ grade from the Globe Finance magazine's Central Banker Report Cards 2018. It bases its grading of central bankers on success on inflation control, economic growth goals, currency stability, and interest rate management. President Rodrigo Duterte has committed 41 billion pesos for the establishment of solar-powered irrigation system in the Philippines in the next 3 years. President Rodrigo Duterte has approved the unimpeded importation of rice as part of government efforts to combat rising inflation and lower prices. Special Assistant to the President Christopher Lawrence Bongo dispelled rumors being spread by administration critics that President Rodrigo Duterte is suffering from a serious illness. The filing period for the 2019 midterm election started on Thursday. Among the early birds for the senatorial race are former Senate President Coco Pimentel, singer Freddy Aguilar, and health advocate Dr. Willie Ong. The Philippine government is providing $400,000 worth of assistance to earthquake and tsunami victims in its Southeast Asian neighbor Indonesia. The armed forces of the Philippines and the Moro Islamic Liberation Front formally ended their decades-old armed conflict during the visit of AFP Chief General Carlito Galvez to MILF Camp Darapanan in Maguindanao.
The Anti-Smoking Task Force, or ATF, in Davao City is set to implement nicotine replacement therapy, or NRT, in 2019 as a means to help people quit smoking. ATF Chief Dr. Ashley Lopez said about 30% of smokers are able to quit through counseling and NRT. Lopez said most smokers have difficulty stopping without the help of health professionals. The ATF chief noted that smoking is similar to substance abuse due to the dependence on nicotine, which can even cause withdrawal symptoms. Other ongoing initiatives of the ATF are enforcement of the city's anti-smoking laws and educating the public about the hazards of smoking.
In foreign news, Germany's southern state of Bavaria started voting on Sunday to shuffle the local parliament Landtag. About 9.5 million eligible voters are called in 91 voting districts to elect their representatives in the new state parliament. A recent survey by Infratest DMAP showed that Dominant Christian Social Union, or CSU, will get 34% of the votes, a sharp decline from 47.7% it got in 2013. Its losses will likely give way to the pro-immigration Greens with a supporting rate of 19% and the right-wing populist Alternative for Germany, or AFD, which is forecast to win roughly 10% of the votes. The regional party, Free Voters, is projected to get 10% of the votes. Local media said the combination of CSU and Greens in the government will lead to a tricky situation. The German government this year nearly collapsed when the CSU insisted on a stricter plan to turn away refugees at the border, as opposed to German Chancellor Angela Merkel's open door policy in 2015.
Filipino archer Nicole Tagle teamed up with Estonia's Hendrik Un to enter the quarterfinals of the mixed international team event in the 2018 Youth Olympic Games. The pair of Tagle and Un defeated the lower-ranked duo of Isabella Basi of Chile and Ravien Dalpatadu of Sri Lanka. The pair, who is currently 13th in the rankings, will be up against Alicia Tromans Ansel of Great Britain and Reza Shabani of Iran. Tromans Ansel and Shabani crushed Wian Ru of South Africa and Himani of India to also make it into the quarterfinals. The prized archer from Dumaguete City is aiming to follow the footsteps of Gab Moreno, the first Filipino to win a gold medal in the Youth Olympics after teaming up with Li Jiaman of China in the 2014 Games in Nanjing, China.
Modern technology is improving the way people enjoy museums in the country.
In the Ayala Museum, certain displays can be experienced through the wonders of virtual reality. Maricor Zapata has the story.
The Ayala Museum is going virtual. That is, in terms of presenting historical and cultural facts to the public, especially to the young ones. Making young people appreciate culture and history can be daunting. Today's new generation mostly like to be entertained via their smartphones. As such, Ayala Museum Director Mariles Gustilo thought of using technology for higher engagement, especially among the young ones. The Ayala Museum has infused virtual reality in their presentation of important historical events. Last month, the museum gave the stories of Emilio Aguinaldo and Andres Bonifacio a virtual reality treatment so young people of today appreciate their legacies more and understand how these had shaped the Philippines as a nation. The stories included the cry of Pugadlawin, the Tejeros Convention, the trial and execution of Andres Bonifacio, and the Declaration of Philippine Independence. Gustilo said they started contemporizing the museum's dioramas in 2017. The museum virtualized the martyrdom of Jose Rizal on his birthday last year. Emil Manangkil, General Manager of I Am Cardboard, says virtual reality, or VR, gives the viewers free rein to look around and know the important characters in each diorama. He says the future of Philippine museums is mixed reality, a mix of augmented and virtual reality. The Ayala Museum also launched a free mobile app this year to give updates on the monthly events conducted in the museum. Gustilo said they continue to find ways to engage museum goers, especially the young people. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Maricor Zapata.
Let's now check out the weather forecast for Metro Manila and the rest of the country. Here's another look at today's top stories. After being vindicated by the United Nations on its stand against illegal drugs, Malacanang hails the 3-year term granted to the Philippines in the United Nations Human Rights Council. As the Philippines explores more ways to become disaster resilient, Albay Representative Joey Salceda believes that the creation of a Department of Disaster Resilience, or DDR, is key to addressing the resource gap in communities. After weeks of increases, oil companies announced a rollback of pump prices on Monday, and the island of Boracay begins its dry run in preparation for its reopening on October 26. Thank you for watching another edition of the PNA Newsroom. To check out these and other stories, visit the PNA website or follow the Philippine News Agency on Facebook and Twitter.
For more stories about the government and how it serves the Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites.
And that's your daily dose of the latest news
and information that you need to know. From the PNA Newsroom, I'm William Theo.
And I'm Pia Rosas Morato. Good day.